So on to the resume final. Hope you haven't waited till Friday of our last week to get going on this. You should have been working on it throughout the week, as I suggested in my intro piece there. Although there's some things that you've needed to get skills to do, just the way it goes, it all has to come together at the end. Exactly what are you going to do now? Well, your resume project is, like the other students, has now gone off in its own direction. So you have your own vision, your own theme, but there are minimum requirements. You are going to have an originals folder. I suggest you do, although I shouldn't end up seeing it. It will not be in your root folder. This is what should be in your root folder. An index page. I do want an index page. It's probably what was originally your cover letter. Maybe you decide some other plan. You may want to run it past me, but as long as you've got a good reason for doing things, it's okay with me. Some HTML page, HTML pages, sorry, of that were resume. There's at least 2 of them now, maybe 3, maybe even 4. A samples page, at least one samples page. Maybe you decide you have samples of different kinds you want to display differently. So maybe you have more than one page. The name of these pages will vary. A style sheet, the name will vary. You probably just called it style.css or something like that. That's fine. It could be in a subfolder, but probably isn't. Probably just in your root folder. That's fine either way. Links, of course, from this page to each of these HTML pages. And of course, there's no CSS on these pages, just links to the style sheet. If you find it necessary for some reason to make a second style sheet, you certainly may. Of course, very large sites might have style sheets that are just target certain functions, like a style sheet for color, a style sheet for type, and so on. Images folder. I do want an images folder just to keep yourself organized. Yes, you could throw all your images loose onto the root folder, but it'll be better to separate them out. Maybe even more image folders. Some people have a folder for banners, and one for icons, one for images and background images, and so on. At least one, though. You're going to put all your images here, but these should be the images that are really on the page, and they should be sized correctly. And you may have to do some resizing. You may decide, I wanted to use that. I was going to use that image as a 300 pixels wide, but now I really want to use it as 500 pixels wide. So you better resize it, go back to your original, resize, put a new copy in, images folder, and delete the other one. Other folders, you could have a samples folder, or maybe even a couple different samples folders. If you are trying to display a lot of images, you may, in samples, but not for other reasons, you may want to make a separate samples folder. Maybe you want to make links to some Word documents of some of your work, or PDFs of posters or other artwork, or I don't know what, something else. Remember, if there are things that are already online, like Cardinal Points articles, or maybe some YouTube stuff, or SoundCloud stuff. By the way, I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Then you're not going to put them here, right? You're just going to link to them online. You're going to use links or embeds. More on that in a second. Changes, updates, corrections. Make sure you've got everything up to date now. We're getting close to the end. Minimum requirements. Now, ask yourself, of course, do you want a minimum grade? Probably not. So you want to go beyond these a little bit. Yes, you got an index page, 2 resume pages, 1 samples page. All pages must include internal navigation. All have at least 1 piece of art. Extra credit for extra pages, photos, special skills. I don't know, what would those be? Maybe you use drop shadows, or maybe you've read about and you end up using curved, rounded edges on borders, or some other special skills. Maybe you make a table, or only do things that are appropriate for your content, of course, but you'll see there's lots of special touches you can add that go beyond the minimum. And also remember, this extra credit if you publish your resume through My Files or Dropbox. If you're reading this early in the week, we may not have gotten to that yet, but there is an explanation on that. Okay, something I didn't give you explanation on, though, was how about embedding stuff from YouTube or Vimeo or SoundCloud or any of a number of other web services for audio and video. Well, that is the way you want to handle audio and video. Yes, it's true. HTML5 does have audio and video elements. And in HTML and CSS is moving towards self-hosting of audio and video, and you certainly could do that, and you can read about it. But it's a lot of complications, and I don't see the value in it myself, because YouTube, Vimeo, SoundCloud do such a good job hosting, and they take up all that slack, and they're generally pretty much free. I know that there's some costs involved in a way, because you may have to look at ads or one thing or another, but there's still a lot of value in the way they make audio and video so universal. But you need to still get it on your website, right? You still want to display it, and you don't want to just have a link. So this is how you can do it. Let me go to Notepad++. I have a file here which is what? Let's just run it. It's this silly resume file. It has a banner on it that we'll be doing at some point this week or something like it. Okay, imagining that in this file, actually this is the cover letter, which would be a strange place to put it, but I'm still imagining in this cover letter file, I'm going to put in a embedded audio and video. So I'm here on YouTube, and I see a video that I've made, that I put on YouTube. I hope at this point you have already had some experience probably making a YouTube channel and loading up your videos. If not, there's plenty of tutorial stuff. And if you want to use Vimeo or some other service, that's fine too. They have similar functions. So let's see this wonderful video here. What is it? Oh yes, I definitely want to embed that one. And guess who it is? Yes, that's right. So what do? In the case of YouTube, and it's different on different services, if I go to share and then go to embed, it's going to give me an iframe. Now you know what? Iframes are not really discussed in your text because they're a bit of an old technology, but they're very functional. So I suggest you use their iframe. Now, what if you want to know more about it? Well, here's a preview of how it would look. And you can get some more control if you want to do more things. You can change the size. There's sizes, different sizes you could use. I do think you should show player controls, show video title and player actions are probably good ideas. Probably don't want to do this or this. But you have some control, some customization you can do. And actually, you could just go and play with the HTML in here, which you should have get a feeling for already. So I've selected this and copied it. Good. I'm going to go to my Notepad++, and I say that right in here is where I want to put it, in between these two paragraphs. And it's a big chunk of HTML. You should get a feeling for what it is. There's an src, a URL, allow full screen, opens and closes an iframe. It's been given a width, a frame border. You could play with those things if you want. I'm going to save it and run it. And there's my video. And of course, the user can just click on it and play it here, or then later if they want to go watch it in YouTube instead. And look at that great. There's more. If you were editing these videos of yourself, of course, you could change the cover image of it and stuff like that. But we won't worry about that. Okay, so imagine, of course, that would be an example of a video that would be displayed on your samples page, for instance. Maybe you made a video of something you want to display there. Okay, let's continue along here. Let's go to SoundCloud. Okay, here's a piece of audio that I have on SoundCloud. How would I get this onto my page? Same idea. If I click on share, I can look at embedded. It gives me a couple choices of the display I want. I'm going to make that smaller display. It's a bigger display to smaller display. Back there in the editing of the audio, I can attach other cover art to it and so on. I could go for more options and change colors of some things and so on. Automatic play is an option, which is very annoying, but you could do it. And I'm going to copy it. WordPress code. WordPress does have a special way of handling this stuff. It'd be interesting to look at. It's a special code that designates SoundCloud, but we're not going to use that. And let's go back to here, and let's say that I'm going to put that right in here, right below that other one. Okay, good. I'm going to save it. And you could look through this. It's just HTML, and it should make some sense to you, source, and so on. And I'm going to run that, I saved it. I'm going to run it. All right. And there is my SoundCloud audio right there, which is now available to watch, to listen to. I can put more space between these. You can imagine how you can still do things like margins and all kinds of other stuff like that with this. Okay, so that gives you the background on embedding that stuff. Otherwise, let me suggest for the samples page, let's imagine that you do have a PDF of a poster you're going to use. Well, yes, you could just put a link that says, and view the PDF of this poster. But why don't you also put the image there? Not the PDF, but take the PDF, save it as a JPEG, right? Scale it down small, make it a thumbnail. Put that float that into the description of what it's going to be, and then also link that JPEG, create a text link going to the full version of the poster. And then why don't you link the image too? Make sure on your samples page, be it audio, video, art, images, I don't know what, that you don't just throw it there, that you give us some explanation about what it is. Did it come from a class? Was it from a publication? Was it some independent work or an internship that it came from? What skills did you learn from it? And so on. So give us some explanation of these things, which will also give you some text where you could then float in something like that image, for instance. Maybe you'll want to show a screenshot of some other thing that you made. You can research about how to make a screenshot and put it there. And there's lots of ways to add that artistic, the visual content into your samples page in addition to the text content. But whatever you do, please don't give me links that say, and to see that, click here. Remember, those words, click here, give us almost no information. At least tell me what kind of file I'm going to open up or where I'm going to go. All right, good luck, and of course, please use the help page and help forum, and email me if other problems and questions, and we'll continue along.